Greetings. I have a short video titled Passover Came and Went, Teotw's Methodology. And in the second half of that video, I discussed how Yakoba from Teotw Ministries had put out a video titled Birth Pangs, in which he reviewed certain videos that he found on social media, videos of people being attacked by animals, and then he tried to treat those videos as prophecy unfolding, right? He interpreted biblical prophecy in light of those videos he found on social media of animals attacking people. And I discussed how that captured the problems with his methodology. And with that in mind, this video is going to be a second installment on Teotw's methodology. Perhaps we could call this Teotw's Cryptozoology. You see, someone just sent me this. It's a post by Yakoba from less than a week ago, in which he shares with interest a video from the Animal Planet channel. And his own caption introducing that video reads as follows, quote, "This is what was mentioned on Dante's show. Interesting. Mermaids." End quote. And notice how he put 3 exclamation points on the word mermaids. Now, if you go to the video which Yakoba posted, it clearly shows a hand, right? It's like a hand with webbed fingers touching the glass briefly of some sort of, submersible underwater vehicle, like a type of submarine or something. And then the video cuts to the host saying that he's speaking with 2 scientists, one who's called Dr. Paul Robertson, who's presented as a biologist from NOAA, NOAA, which is an acronym for the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. And then the other is a geologist called Dr. Torsten Schmidt, who is said to have recorded that footage of that apparent anthropomorphic amphibian hand or whatever it was. And they actually show that webbed hand from 2 different angles. But here's the problem. Those purported scientists are actors. You see, Dr. Paul Robertson was played by David Evans, and Dr. Torsten Schmidt was played by Albert Bendix. The footage in that video is from Animal Planet's show Mermaids, The New Evidence, which came out a decade ago. And that was actually a sequel to a similarly sensational show on Animal Planet from a couple years earlier, which was titled Mermaids, The Body Found. Now, when you look up the IMDB page for that sequel, Mermaids, The New Evidence, which is the source of the clip that Yakoba shared, IMDB explicitly lists it as sci-fi, as science fiction. And if you look at the Wikipedia entry for the series, it's described as mockumentary, which is to say a fictional show which has the style of a documentary. But, it's not actually a documentary. And the entry explicitly calls the series an example of docufiction, right? It's a fictional series. It's for entertainment. It's not real. But was Yakoba aware of that? Honestly, it seems pretty clear to me that he was declaring that to be interesting, and he was writing mermaids with 3 exclamation points because he thought it might be real. And I'm not pointing this out just to pick on the Teotw twins. Rather, there's a serious point to be made here about their methodology. You see, Mike Holloway has previously tried to explain to the Teotw twins the concept of newspaper eschatology, where you see something exciting or sensational in the newspaper, and then you try to filter your reading of the Bible through that. And that sort of approach is fraught with problems, in part because your perception of the world is fragmentary and it's riddled with inaccuracies, right? Because, sensational news often strips the fact of the matter of much needed nuance. And more to the point, sensational news in your newspaper, it tries to get the readers whipped up emotionally and excited, In a new update to what Mike Holloway called the newspaper eschatology, the Teotw twins are engaging in what might be called news feed eschatology, where they try to interpret the Bible in light of the latest sensationalism they came across on social media. And that's why they're often referring to sensational stories that are in many of our news feeds. You hear them talking about murder hornets, Agenda 2030, mermaids, right? And I wanted to point this out because that post captures how their perception of reality can actually be shaky at times, right? They might not have the best filter for catching fiction and nonsense, and that certainly shouldn't be playing a role in their interpretations. And sadly, because they maintain a heavily censored echo chamber, which pushes out people who challenge them, they receive even less correction, and thus growth happens at a much slower rate. And therefore, my advice to the Teotw twins would be to dismantle the block walls that they've put up, open themselves up to direct objections from critics, and see correction as beneficial, right? I do that. That's precisely why I don't censor any of my videos or social media posts. I let critics, post their objections directly, on my posts and videos. And with that in mind, I'll close this brief video here. I just wanted to cover this interesting example of Teotw's methodology. But as always, I welcome any comments, questions, or criticisms. So feel free to share your thoughts, whether positive or negative. And God bless.
I need to see what's going on and see what's coming, because it is coming. They're not done. The boo is back, and the boo is back, and the boo is back.
Y llegó papá.
Sonideros en Movimiento TV.
Mira que dice. ¿Quién llegó? Y llegó papá. Así.